Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. So today's video is where we talk too much about building the space station time-lapse series, which is the context video. Alright, first things first, I noticed the wave animation kind of broken at the moment. So I guess saluting would be our next best thing to do for the time being. That's pretty interesting. Alright, so let's just get into it. So, for the context video of what we're doing with building a space station is to talk about the little details that you don't see in the time-lapse video or random encounters that occurred throughout the series. So, as we saw in the very beginning of the time-lapse, the space pod was pretty much overhauled and redone, but you couldn't really see some of the stuff that was inside. So some of you already noticed that inside here does have a hinge system, a large hinge system, but converted with a small head that can add two things basically. One being an oxygen tank here, and another being two O2 H2 generators. So I really built two O2 generators mainly to get close to the size of this oxygen tank here. But it's probably off by like one, right? One, yeah, this is 4 cubes. This is only 3. But that's what's there. It is locked, so it's not too bad. We do have the batteries here, which we were charging up just now. We have some seats here as well. So I can use for the time-lapse videos. We can have a nice view right here in that case. All right, so everything else, yeah, it's pretty much it is connected with conveyors for the most part. I was looking at putting some Gatling turrets on the side, but I don't have ammo and I didn't have metal grids at the time, so I just put interior turrets. Really no point of putting them here, just for design for now until I do get some magazines, ammo, things like that. And it's connected to this cargo right up top. The weird part is that I couldn't find space for connectors, so I added it down here. And behind here would be 2 cargo containers that are connected to this drill system. This enormous drill system that is not necessary, but I did it more to carry weight than anything else, to be honest. Or stone and things like that. It designed it in that kind of checkerboard style so it can grab as much as we can without putting way too much weight on this thing. It does still wobble a bit. Even though we're in space, it's a little bit hard to control when everything is completely filled, especially the drills. The cargoes down here are not connected whatsoever to the top cargo. That's by design for the time being. We will upgrade this base pod a little bit more down the line. Right now, I just wanted to design it where it shows a little lower in the cockpit or bridge section of the ship, which we did. We brought it down a little bit. And I wanted to have the iron thrusters on a separate portion of it, which not the best thing in the world, because if you knock this out, we have no thrusters. But it was just a random design I wanted to play around with, and it turned out to be decent. It's not too bad. Has a bit of a tail or face back here, as you see, with the ore detector too. So this is the main ship that is going to get us around, explore, find resources, drill for stone, things like that. So that's pretty much the first thing we wanted to take care of, other than building the items that we needed in the very beginning, which is like the refineries, cargo, oxygen, assemblers, things like that. So I kind of just bunched them all into this random little station here, which is kind of connected to everything for the time being. We'll probably convert this to something else, or we're just going to get rid of it entirely once we're ready to do so. But yeah, the main point of this series is really to build a large space station. So big that it's going to take forever for me to kind of weld up or grind things down. So that is the main reason why I decided to go with the build and repair or nanobot build and repair systems. So this would help me kind of weld up everything I need while I'm building as I go, because usually I just build as I go. I don't normally plan out this whole system or station. I just build it, see how it works, and then continue to build off of that. That's why you see me grind things down and then weld back up, because sometimes things just didn't work out, so you gotta reset and start over. So that's kind of my game plan when it comes to building. Because unfortunately, sometimes I'm not that creative, or I have a creative block, so I just keep working as I go. So the initial design of this portion of the station, probably the main middle hub. Looks like we're missing a window here. Yeah, so part of this main hub here is to centralize everything with a different kind of design. So I wanted to make it more cylindrical in some ways, and it turned out to be pretty neat. Not too bad. This part I'm going to leave empty. The inside, I'm going to have to put a bit of a window here to cover that up. And good thing is that the update, the new update just came out recently, so things like the hatch doors here are perfect for this type of design, or the space station. And also for the docking station, or the docking bay, these new hangar doors are out too, which is awesome. But we'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, the centralized station here, let me actually put the window together. So the centralized station here took a bit of time to make because of all the different blocks that it requires. So it's going to use things like light armor sloped corners, you have the light armor sloped corner bays, regular blocks here, and we're just trying to make it around. And there's like 2 different levels to it, so you have it extended out here, and it gets a little skinnier on the top there, or same thing on the bottom. It's extended on the front side here, and it gets skinnier down here. So I was just playing around with the design, and it turned out okay. Not the best thing in the world, but it's a good start for a centralized hub or station. I might add a second floor to it, I'm not sure. That's why I left it open with these piping system here. I'll leave the piping on the bottom, the plumbing on the bottom, put a floor on top, and see how it goes. But other than that, we spent a lot of time on this portion of the space station, which this is something I kind of wanted to have in mind for a long time. Is to make a space station with like a needle nose antenna kind of thing here, with some solar panels sticking out. Of course, when I use solar panels, when I add some oxygen farms, which is always a good idea. So I added a little bit more design to it from that. So we can collect oxygen, we can collect power pretty easily in that case. In addition to it, I did add these oxygen tanks as well right here on the side, just for aesthetic reasons, and it kind of works out too. And I did notice that this part is kind of hitting the solar panels, or the solar panels are hitting this part of the piping, which eventually this might just disappear, to be honest, because it's unnecessary to have this here. We might have to route the piping elsewhere, or try to route it a little higher, so we can pipe it through everything else without this kind of being a problem. But yeah, that's pretty much the power situation for the time being. We will make a station for ice or hydrogen engines. I did have to plop one on recently. That was not on the time lapse, but I did some things in the back end to clean up some stuff. And this is running perfectly fine. It's going to charge up everything. I think for the most part, we're losing a lot of power from all those building repairs. And also this ship here. I should really turn the iron thrusters off while I'm here, but I'll leave it for now. That one battery in here is actually charging, and it's stealing a ton of batteries for the whole entire base. So let me undo that recharge, put auto. But now we can use this ship to, well, at least we have battery now. I had only 5 minutes left at one point, because I think the station stole all the energy. But yeah, the hub station, or the centralized part of the station, has been complete. No color so far. Everything's gonna be what it is for now. Once I get ready to make colors, or include colors, I'll do that. I think for the most part, I'm trying to try to stick with the blue and yellow colors, blue, yellow, white, and gray color scheme, similar to the respawn pod here. Maybe change it up. I don't know yet. I have to think about it. But for the most part, this took a while, and then building the docking bay or station took quite some time also. I do absolutely love having these new doors to make these little hatches, and then we can go right into our docking port. And again, we can do kind of like a double door system if we wanted to, but right now I'm just using a hatch. It's a little dark in here for the time being. I try to add some lights, but I wanted the windows more than anything else, so you see the reflection or look outside, which is pretty cool. And then we jump into this part where I was able to do a double door system, the original door and a hatch door here. I need to design this a little bit more, as you can see. But right now, this is kind of the docking port or docking bay or station, whatever you want to call it, with these nice hangar doors with windows right here. I think that's a good addition to Space Engineers, good for aesthetics reasons. I added these windows too. I need to add another layer of it here, because it's supposed to look like this here. So that was kind of the idea behind it. Do we need the windows? Not really, but it does make it look pretty cool. We do need to add some lights here as well, but for the most part, right now we just have these buttons here. We do open and close for both sides, not together. So this is one side and that's another side. So if something's opening up here, then we have an issue. But looks like we don't. So both sides can open up individually, which is perfect. Right there. And the reason why we're using hangar doors is because we will make this airtight. I did try to make a door with merge blocks and things like that for this docking station. Unfortunately, it just didn't work. And my suspicion is that when you merge it to the docking station, a wall at least, to the docking station, it turns out that it decides to convert to a station. Because this whole thing is stuck on a station, not as a ship. So as you see here, it's on convert to station. I think once you merge that block or that wall into the docking station here, a docking bay, it just individually turns this to a station, and then you won't be able to move it around. So how I tested it was basically using the piston. So like I built things like out here, right? Took this block out, so the little corners would be touching, and then have a piston pull it down. But when I unplugged this one or grinded this one out and used the piston to drag it down, it wasn't moving. It's just stuck. I changed the torque of the piston, and what happened was that the pistons just broke. So that just didn't work out whatsoever. So that's why I decided to go with the hangar doors. Unfortunately, it is only 4 blocks high. So that does limit us on parking any small grid ships here. But I do plan to park larger vehicles outside. So it might have to be like on top or the very bottom for those large grid vehicles, or have them kind of port or parks elsewhere. But in here, generally what I wanted to do was small grid ships and drones, or maybe even a printing station in here, so we can have some defense drones and things like that just to play around with as well. And even maybe welding and grinding drones eventually, depending on the situation. But this whole point of the station is to make it first and then play some kind of scenario out of it, to be honest. So it's gonna have several, I think, couple seasons involved in it. But the initial one is, of course, just a straight time lapse of building the station altogether. And yeah, feel free to add some comments down below and let me know if I should add any more to the docking station. I do plan on making several other stations, such as cargo station, whole battery station, maybe some more solar panel areas, something bigger than this maybe, and kind of similar to Surviving Europa's time-lapse video or series, where we're gonna make different sections and centralize some areas. So we'll kind of see how it goes, maybe like a whole refining station, things like that. I did technically park the station a little bit too close to this asteroid. I only did that so I can get the stone as quickly as possible. But honestly, I'm going to have probably a nice little operation and try to grind down the whole entire asteroid or meteor, no, asteroid, when I get a chance to. Because it's super close to our docking bay, but that's by design. And yeah, I was really planning to just take out this whole entire thing. It's a little bit bigger than I anticipated, but yeah, we're gonna get a lot of materials out of it at least. So a lot different from Surviving Europa because it was a bit rough not having stone, but with this having stone, it's a little bit easier. So I do have quite a bit of materials so far. So I was able to find cobalt too eventually, but I do have a bunch of iron. Probably not anymore. It looks like we are... No, we still have some iron right here. We have 53k of iron, which is great. And that's from drilling the iron deposits around this meteor or asteroid. And we just grind and just got a whole bunch of stone, to be honest. And that's a lot of materials there. So in terms of other things that you don't see in the time lapse, it's basically me looking for resources, because I'm not spawning any resources. I'm actually gathering them. So when I'm not recording and doing some cleaning up, I'm also looking for resources altogether. So you'll see all my different little GPS points. So more recently, I found more ice closer to us. The original ice that I found was 16 kilometers away. The close ice is right here, close to 11 kilometers away. And I've seen silver. I don't know why I didn't mark it. It was probably too far away. But I do have iron, silicon, nickel, ice, cobalt, which is really far away. More recently, I found magnesium, which is not too far away. And we have some platinum, which is awesome, because then we can start making more iron thrusters. Because iron thrusters do cost platinum. Alright, so actually no, we're missing gold. So I still have to look for some gold. And honestly, ideally, I wanted to make something a little smaller so I can travel around and look for these things. Because traveling with this thing is kind of useful, but I think I'm going to make a small hydrogen, small grid hydrogen ship to go look for that gold and silver. So I'm just going to have to go to any of our close asteroids for the time being, like that one, mark it, see what's there, go to all the ones next to us, and hopefully we'll run into some uranium, because then we can use our warfare skin uranium or reactors to make it look pretty cool. But yeah, we explored most of the asteroids nearby. There's still a little bit around us that we haven't. The rock next to us, honestly, got lucky. Silicone, iron and silicone there. So that's perfect. Once again, cobalt's a little too far. But yeah, so I'm going to have to clean up the inside of the docking station, put some connectors, put some lights. The awesome part is we have these light panels now, so we can use these to make some lighting inside here. So we can direct for parking and things like that, which is awesome. We're going to have to put a sensor so we can park in here. And eventually make a defense station or so. Because there are drones out here, and I ran into one that was hard to see in the time lapse, but I did run into a drone that tried to shoot my ship down when I was exploring for resources. Because there's some kind of drone facility nearby. I'm not sure if it despawned or not. It shouldn't have, but it's around. And when I get close to it, they start sending drones after me. Unfortunately, with build and repair, I could design a little bit better. I mean, change the settings a little bit, but I left it as is. And with build and repair, if a drone does get close, it's gonna disassemble it, which is kind of cheesy. But the main point here is not necessarily surviving. It's more about just building the space station. So that's okay for the time being. But once we build the space station and we go to our next scenario with it, that's when I'm gonna take out the build and repair, so then it doesn't, disassemble drones that come to us and build stuff for us, when we can start repairing things ourselves in that case. So that's kind of the plan there. Oh yeah, so one other thing I wanted to mention, the other reason why I want to do the build and repair, other than because it's a large build, is I was hoping that the streaking lights would actually get recorded in the time lapse, but it didn't. I'm not sure why. You'll probably see it once in a while in the time lapse, because I'm actually recording with my main machine here and there just to see the light show. But with my other machine, it just doesn't want to capture it. I've been playing around with the graphic settings, everything like that. Didn't seem to work. Couldn't pinpoint what it is. And I think when I used to use that machine as my main machine, I used to see the streaming light. So not sure what's going on there. But when I get a chance to, I'll always try to record with the light show when possible. But at one point, even when I record it, they show the lights and then it stops, and then it just welds up on its own like it does in time lapse. So either way, eventually you're probably not going to see that kind of light show, but for whenever we do have it, I think it's pretty awesome. So yeah, so I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Again, it's a large build, and I'm building as I go. I don't really have real blueprinted plans in my head or anything like that. I just have a small idea to like, let's make this happen. So we just start building it. So it does take a lot of time to do the time lapse, because we do about same as we did for Surviving Europa, about 3 hours of recording, and about 3 hours of recording, speed it up, and sometimes we cut it down. Sometimes we cut it down a bit based on the music. So that's why you see some videos at 14 minutes, some at 12, some at 11. It just really depends on the music, because I really want to kind of link the beats and timing with the music to make it look even better. So that's the reason for the difference in the timing, but usually roughly about 3 hours of recording sessions just to make a time-lapse video. Alright, so enough talking. I should really get back to the building of everything. So hopefully you enjoyed this series, you enjoyed the context video as well, and I hope to talk to you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.